My name is Janae Crucial, and I will be counseling you today. What is your name?
My name is Arissa.
Okay, and nice to meet you, Arissa. What would you like to talk about today?
I would like to talk about my family and some of the things that have been going on, specifically something that happened today.
Okay. So would you like to kind of elaborate a little bit on that?
Alright, well, this morning I got woken up by my grandmother.
Okay.
Asking if she can come into my house. I live by myself, and she said to me, she basically asked if my mother, who is a 40-something-year-old woman, can come and live with me for a week or so.
Okay, so how did your grandma asking you that make you feel?
A lot of things.
Okay, so if you had to pick like two different emotions that you were feeling in that moment, what would they have been?
Anger.
Okay.
And I guess anxiety, fear.
Okay. I would like to talk about your emotion of anger first. So why did you feel anger when your grandma had asked you that?
I feel like it's not my responsibility to always try to pick up the pieces when people mess up.
Okay, and has that been put onto you a lot in your life?
Yes.
Okay. And now with anxiety, why did you feel anxiety?
My mother is extremely unstable emotionally and financially, and just in every way possible. She is unstable.
Okay.
And she is very difficult to be around sometimes. She's an alcoholic. She struggles with addiction with drugs. She has a personality disorder. She's just very difficult to be around.
Okay. So, when your grandma came to ask you that, what did you end up saying to her?
I mostly didn't say anything.
Okay.
I sat there and let her talk. I ended up agreeing to it.
Okay.
She basically ended up guilting me into saying yes.
Okay.
I made the choice for my grandmother more than my mom.
Okay. So, when you did end up inevitably agreeing, how did that make you feel?
Kind of like, okay, well, I guess this is just how it is now. I have to deal with it. And now I need to start taking the precautions to be able to cope with what's going to be happening to me for the next few weeks.
Okay. So since, I don't know when this happened, but have you had any other emotions since this has happened to now? Or has it all been like the same type of emotion?
Well, it's only been a few hours now.
Okay.
And I went from feeling extremely overwhelmed to feeling nothing in about, I don't know, as soon as after it happened. I felt really upset for about 10 minutes afterwards.
Okay.
But I also know that I tend to avoid my feelings.
And why do you think you do that?
I mean, no one likes feeling bad.
That's very true. But do you think that there's maybe some underlying reason why you tend to avoid your feelings?
Possibly.
Okay. So what we've covered so far is essentially you feeling overwhelmed and afraid and anxious about your mother coming to move in with you, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So do you know when she's coming to stay with you?
In a few hours. About 2 hours.
And how do you feel about that?
Nervous. I feel nervous, but at the same time, I can't, do anything about it.
Do you have ways that you can cope with her being there? Things that you can do to kind of make it easier on yourself?
Probably just distraction. So things like playing games or watching movies.
Okay.
I do have a boyfriend that I talk to a lot, and he helps me.
Okay, good. And how does that feel, to have that person that you can confide in and that can help you?
Really good.
Okay, good.
I'm really glad I have that.
Good. So, has your relationship with your mom been strained for your entire life?
Absolutely.
Okay, would you like to dive into that a little bit further, potentially?
Sure.
Okay.
It's gonna be a deep dive.
That's okay. We got all the time in the world.
Okay.
So how about you just start off small, and then as time permits, we will go deeper.
Okay.
Okay.
How should I start?
Well, is there any incidents that you remember specifically that kind of really changed your opinion of her, potentially?
Many? Yeah.
Okay. Just pick one that you feel is the one that really did it for you, and start with that, and then we will continue.
I guess when I was a kid, before we moved to Medicine Hat, she took me and my siblings in and essentially left me to raise them.
Okay. How did that make you feel?
I still to this day feel like I had my childhood taken away from me.
And I'm sensing some like anger and sadness in your voice when you say that. It seems to me like you're angry at your mom for doing that to you, but you're also sad because you missed out on your childhood. Am I right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
I feel like it was unfair.
Very, yeah. Have you ever voiced your concerns to your mom?
Yes, but she doesn't acknowledge anything that anyone else has to say if it isn't about how she feels.
Okay. And that would be very unfair to you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I find it's more hurtful to me to try to talk to her about it than it is just not to say anything.
Okay, so you feel that it's easier to just leave it instead of trying to talk to her?
Because
Okay.
if I do talk to her, then she will turn it around on me and tell me how hard it was for her, how whatever, and I feel like if I'm going to someone to talk to them, I'm not going to them to have their emotional damage placed on me. I'm trying to speak to them about how how I feel.
And how does it make you feel when your mom says things like it's like trying to guilt trip you into like, we're just gonna start that over. How does it make you feel when your mom says those things to you when you try to go to her?
Again, I guess more anger,
Anger.
but also I'm at the point now that I realize that my mom is immature. And she's essentially incapable of responding to things in a mature and comprehensive way.
When you finally came to that realization, what were your feelings and emotions from there?
I guess I felt like I stopped viewing her as a mother figure completely.
Okay.
Because really she's not.
So was there that feeling of loss?
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah. And then did you ever have feelings of almost relief not having to think of her like that because she never was?
I would say so. Relief because now I no longer have to try to seek love from a mother figure that doesn't exist.
And do you have anyone in your life that took on that role for you?
My grandmother.
And how do you feel about her?
I absolutely love her. But
Good.
just like everyone else, she has her flaws too.
I think everybody has flaws, and I think that's okay. So tell me a little bit about your grandma.
She adopted my siblings. I'm not adopted, but I've been under her care.
Okay.
She adopted my siblings from a young age. And it was just, she's raised us because my mom lost us from, due to social services.
Mm-hmm.
Or child services, I guess.
Yeah.
And I love her to death, but she's also given up her whole life to raise us.
That must have been hard for her. And I'm assuming you're the oldest?
Yeah.
Of your family? Did you ever have to take on any type of role when you were in your grandma's care?
Yep.
Okay, and how was that for you?
I guess because my grandma technically was a single mom, she did work a lot, and again, I've always followed into the role of having to be that prime caretaker. The longest time, actually, there was a period of time when my siblings, who were really young, actually referred to me as mom, and we had to work with them to try to get them to stop doing that. because of the role that I played.
Yeah. I can imagine how hard that would have been for your siblings to call you mom. And what were the feelings that you associated with that? Was it despair or like feeling that you lost a sibling instead of being their mom?
Mm, it's more that I felt sad for them because I know that, like me, they were searching for that mother figure and they had someone that they could assign that role to, and it just happened to be me.
Did you said that it took a while to kind of get them out of identifying you as their mother.
Mm-hmm.
Past that, did you have to deal with that too much more?
Once we got them to kind of stop, it was once they got older, I think they just kind of realized with age, because that's just something that like a young kid would do, I think.
Yeah.
They just kind of stopped and they haven't done it.
Okay.
They still jokingly sometimes call me mom.
But it's more out of humor instead of
it's as a joke.
necessity.
Yeah.
Do you find that those jokes are funny to you now, or do they still hold a little bit of sadness in them?
Not sadness. They are funny to me. Like, they are funny to me. Their jokes are funny, but it's more like when it's said to me, I have to acknowledge the fact that that was a role I played at one point. I'm not sad about it still.
But it has some
it shows
unknown
that
feelings.
Yeah, and it makes me feel like I obviously still have a role of, like they still look up to me that way.
Okay. So, since the last time I went over this, we have dived a little bit into the rest of your family, your grandma, and you expressed great gratitude towards her and how much you love her and how she's been a rock, more so than your mom was. So I think I would like to talk more about the good parts of your relationship with your grandma to kind of ease a little bit of the sadness in here. And so, can you tell me a bit more about your relationship with her?
Yeah. So she has my siblings living with her, and then I live on my own.
Mm-hmm.
She just will come and hang out with me sometimes. Like, we'll just go get a coffee and just go talk, and she always makes sure I have, like, the things I need, because, you know, I struggle financially sometimes, and so she'll come and help me out. Like, she'll bring me toilet paper if I'm, like, absolutely out or something like that. Like, she does things to make sure that I'm okay.
Okay.
And sometimes she calls me just to see how I'm doing. I do the same for her.
So you guys act essentially as each other's rocks.
I would say so, yeah.
Do you think that's because you both played a similar role in the raising of your siblings?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay.
That would make sense.
Okay. Well, I'm happy that you have that person in your life from wherever you could find it when it couldn't be your mother. So let's continue talking about your mom, because that's originally what you came in here to talk about, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And you had come in here to talk about how she's now moving in with you, and that was kind of just like a bomb that was dropped off on you, right?
It was. I was not expecting it and got told, you know, it was right when I woke up that, hey, she's going to be moving in with you in a few hours.
Yeah.
And that's kind of threw me off a bit.
Yeah. I can't imagine, especially if you don't have that good relationship with her. So, I guess my question right now is, how did that come to be? How did it come that your mom had to move in with you right now?
So basically, my mom had lost her house. She was living with my brother, but they both lost the place, and my grandma took them in.
Okay.
Last night, the police ended up being phoned on my mom, and the police essentially told my grandmother, like, we've been called for this family too many times. Stop calling us.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing we can do because you keep letting her back in.
Yeah.
Basically, my mom had come home drunk last night and had charged at my grandma.
Oh.
And my younger sister had lost 2 friends to suicide this week. And my mom had threatened to kill herself.
Oh, I'm sorry.
To her. And so at that point, my grandma said, like, you have to leave. You can't stay here anymore. And so my mom stayed the night at a friend's house. But after that, like, she doesn't want to stay with this friend because they have addiction issues, and so does my mom, and she's trying to stay away from that.
Okay.
So my grandma felt like the last resort was to ask if she could stay with me.
So, coming back to the cops having said that they can't help your family as long as they keep allowing your mom to come back in, do you feel like your mom was allowed to come back in by staying with you at this point?
By staying with me?
Yeah, so you had mentioned that your grandma had kicked her out, and the police had said that they cannot help your family if the family keeps allowing your mom to stay. Do you think that that is what happened again, or do you think it's a good, well, not a good thing that your mom's staying with you, but I wish I knew what I was asking.
I feel, well, they're just, if you allow someone to come into your house and they're staying, they can't turn around and say, like, we can forcibly remove them. So I'm worried because I'm allowing my mom to come in and stay with me, and I know my mom has a habit of just not leaving.
Yeah. So are you worried that she might just never want to leave?
I'm worried she's going to try that, yep.
And what would you do in that situation?
To be completely honest, I have absolutely no idea. Because there's not much I could do.
And I'm seeing that that makes you feel anxious.
Absolutely.
Okay. That's a tough one, hey? Yeah. Do you ever feel a little bit of resentment towards your family for allowing your mom to continuously come back?
I do, and I've voiced that to them as well. And I had also voiced when I first moved into my house that the one thing I will never do is let my mom stay with me, no matter what. And my grandmother is well aware of that. But when she came over, she was crying and begging me to let her come in, and I told her that I did not want my mom staying with me. But it ended up happening anyways.
So you felt like you were stuck between a rock and a hard place. Neither option was good.
No.
But when that support person that you have allows themselves to get emotional, you feel like you would be doing them a disservice if you didn't do what they were asking.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's tough. Like you don't want to let the person into your home that you don't want in, but you also don't want to disappoint that person that's been there for you and that took care of you.
Especially seeing how much they're hurting from it.
Yeah.
Like, if I could explain how much I love and care about my grandmother, it's a lot.
I can
wouldn't
see it.
do anything for her.
Yeah.
So I'm doing it for my grandma, and not for me, not for my mom.
Yeah, that's tough. Okay, so we're at 1:40 left in this, so I will kind of go over what we've talked about, and if you have any questions, we can talk about those then, okay?
Alright.
So you came in saying that you want to talk about your mom and how she is being brought into your home, your safe space, the place where you feel safe.
Mm-hmm.
And your grandma was the one to ask you, and you felt like you had no other way but to say yes to her. Your grandma is also the person that has been your biggest support from your life because your mom was not. She was unstable. She was an addict of sorts, okay? Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Your siblings ended up feeling that you were their mother of sorts, and that gave you unsettling feelings, and you didn't know how to kind of get away from that. But I can see that your grandma is someone that's super, super important to you, and that's what is giving you all these internal conflicts, because you don't want your mom to live with you. But there's also not really anything else that you can do about it besides hurting your grandma. So